So you say you want spiritual awakening. Well, what is spiritual awakening to you, and how do you navigate this process? That's what I want to talk about today. There is a spiritual awakening going on, whether you're aware of it or not. We are all kind of waking up to our crap, and that is the first stage of spiritual awakening. Once you choose spirit over the matrix, once you choose to awaken, the first thing that you're going to encounter is all of your stuff, all the stuff that's actually entrapping you in the matrix, in your own psychological issues. And this is something that stops a lot of spiritual seekers in their tracks. Because there's this thing of it gets worse before it gets better. And waking up isn't necessarily a pleasant thing at all times. See, a lot of people seeking spiritual awakening are just seeking an escape from their issues, and they're seeking to land in some state of permanent bliss. And that's not the way it works. Unfortunately, believe me, I've been one of those. So, first of all, you're going to have to choose to look through a spiritual lens rather than the lens of the 3D matrix. So, what does that mean? Well, one thing is you're going to have to take responsibility for your role in manifesting things that you would call negative, that you would call bad. You're going to have to make the switch from victim to manifestor. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I don't want to be a victim. I want to be a manifestor. And that's all great. But the problem is when it comes time to acknowledge that you have manifested some of your negative patterns. Not that you've done it because that's what you wanted to do, that's what you intended to do, not that you intended to create negative patterns in your life, but somehow you have created those patterns. Because if you look at any negative pattern, like all of my romantic partners end up cheating on me, all of my friends borrow money and never pay it back, whatever negative pattern, everybody gets mad at me, nobody understands me, whatever. All of these patterns have one thing in common. You are the common denominator of the pattern. And so a lot of people will never make it very far in the spiritual awakening process. They'll just go into spiritual bypassing. They'll do certain spiritual practices and feel good, and they'll do meditation, they'll do drumming, they'll do ayahuasca ceremonies, they'll do whatever. But they won't awaken because they're not clearing that one issue or many issues that are blocking spirit. Spiritual awakening, the way I look at it, is about changing your identity over time from your ego to your spirit. Your spirit is eternal. Your ego is just for this one incarnation. One thing interesting, I do past life regression hypnosis, and one thing interesting about that is that when you go into a past life, oftentimes, the personality of that past life character is completely different than your personality right now. And yet, you can feel that the soul is the same. there's a certain essence of that personality that is you. But the outer characteristics, the temperament and whatever, might be kind of opposite. So, one thing you need to realize about spiritual awakening is that the egoic part of you that might have started on the journey of wanting spiritual awakening, eventually it will have to go, and it doesn't like it. The thing with spiritual awakening is not that you destroy your ego, it's that you unhook from it. It doesn't get destroyed, it's still around. It's just not reactive, and it's not the center of your universe. It's kind of like your avatar. It's the thing that you use to deal with this outer reality. And it's fine. Even an enlightened person that has dropped the ego will find that the ego remains. It's just not, they're just not attached to it. They don't care about it. They're not in service of the needs and requirements of the ego. So, on the path to the light, now just imagine you turn up the light in your house, in the room that you're in right now. You turn it up to some ridiculous level that hurts your eyes, for example. You're going to see dirt. You're going to see smudges on the wall. You're going to see things that were not visible in normal light. So that's the analogy for spiritual awakening. When you wake up spiritually, you're going to find dirt on yourself. You're going to find stuff that is a bummer to look at, that is hard on you to look at. You're going to see when you've been an asshole. You're going to see when you've been a coward. And maybe you do these things now. We all do to one degree or another. It's not special. But the emotional disruption that comes from starting to clear these things makes it seem like it's getting worse before it gets better. And to the degree we resist, this period of feeling like it's getting worse can last years. And yeah, every now and then we have some big epiphany, some big moment of joy and bliss. And that might make it all worthwhile for some. For others, it will not. There's always going to be a tendency to drop the quest. Because in the end, spirituality is tough on the ego. Spirituality itself is effortless. When you're there, it's effortless. But you can't take certain crap with you to get there. Um, Now, a huge issue when you stop reacting the way you used to react, when you stop dropping certain fears, for example, let's say you have a fear of rejection. And so you act a certain way to appease others so they don't reject you. Now, let's say you drop your fear of rejection, and all of a sudden, you're not doing these things to prevent rejection. You're not kissing people's asses. You're not deferring to what they want. You don't care if they reject you. You care about your own integrity more than maintaining a potentially toxic relationship, whether that be with a romantic partner, with your family, with your boss or coworkers. And that creates a backlash oftentimes. And a lot of my work as a healer is helping people navigate that whole thing. Navigate pre-backlash to prevent the backlash and have the kind of talking points to get through this stickiness. Because when you change as a person, other people are going to notice it and they're going to be threatened by it. And guess what they're not going to say? They are not going to say, oh, look at Joe. He's having a spiritual awakening, so he's not doing this bullshit anymore. No. They're going to say, Joe is selfish. Joe's being an asshole. Joe doesn't care about anybody's feelings, and on and on and on. You're going to have gaslighting. You're going to have people attempting to control you, guilt you into going back. It's your job not to do that. And another thing about navigating the spiritual awakening is you need to ground relentlessly, incessantly. Think of it this way. You're in Vegas, you're gambling, and you're winning. Well, what I'm telling you to do is every couple hours, cash in 1,000, 2,000 bucks, whatever, go to your bank and deposit it. And then you can take the rest of the casino's money and go play with that. But keep banking your winnings. Okay, this is grounding. When you have moments of ascension, it's literally like you're rising up. But as you rise up, there is a potential that you will fall back down. Okay? If you win $10,000, there's a potential that you'll lose $10,000. That's why if you take 2,000, put it in the bank, play with the 8, you can't lose 10. Okay, so it's really important energetically to keep getting grounded. Like, okay, I've cleared this fear of rejection. Now, there are layers of how we clear it. We clear it on the mental level. We clear it on the emotional level. We clear it on the reactive level. There's a bunch of levels. But the thing is, we need to get grounded in the new reality. And part of that is we need to move things around. If you put a grand piano in your living room, some other furniture might need to be shifted around to accommodate the piano and to make sense for how people are going to listen when somebody's playing the piano. Okay, the whole orientation of the room might change. If you just plop the piano in the room and don't change anything around, you might have a discordant situation when it comes time for somebody to play the piano at the party. And so the thing is, you need to get constantly in the habit of grounding, of making this new reality that you have manifested into your baseline reality rather than a peak experience kind of thing. Spiritual awakening is not easy. But the thing is, nowadays, there's kind of a tailwind that if you should choose to awaken, the universe has your back. But there are things you're going to have to go through. There are emotional things that are going to come up out of nowhere and that you're going to have to sit with, you're going to have to heal, and you're going to have to come up with a whole new framework for life. And since humans tend to stick to their old patterns and kind of be lazy about changing core patterns, this can be challenging. So, anyway, that's what I help people do in my work. you can see more at andysway.com, is to navigate this process in a concrete way. How do you enact your spiritual awakening at work, at home, with your family of origin, in all the arenas of your life? What do you talk about? What do you not talk about in this process? How do you stay grounded with it and not come off as the total airhead? These are the things that we have to pay attention to in this quest for spiritual awakening. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what questions you have about this, and I will gladly follow up with future videos addressing those questions. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Andy Sway. I'm a healer and past life regression hypnotherapist in Los Angeles, and go to New York often as well. I also work with clients by phone around the world. You can find out more at andysway.com. Thank you.